peeps, it's your girl Jess and welcome to my channel Caribbean Soul. Today's recipe was actually requested by 3 viewers on my page. What's the recipe, you ask? Caribbean style oxtails with butter beans. So stay tuned and I'll show you exactly what you need to make this awesome recipe.
Girls! Oh my gosh!
Okay, I'm home from the supermarket and now I have my oxtails and I had the butcher cut them in they're like 1/2 inch pieces. And the first thing you want to do with your oxtail is to take off the extra fat. The fat is like this white stuff around the meat. You don't want that because then your oxtail is going to get really oily and it's not going to taste so good at the end. So you want to aid your oxtails by just trim it off. And simply just take a knife. Can you see that? Yes. Take your knife and cut that extra white fat off before you do anything else. As much as you can get off, the better. Flip it around and just see, you know, where you have any extra fat that you don't really need and just trim it off. Now you don't want to over trim because I mean fat is a good thing, but you don't want the extra stuff. You know, once you get it all trimmed out, for the most part, see, you just set it to the side and keep on doing that with the rest of your oxtails. Okay, I have my oxtails all cleaned, and as you can see, I didn't over trim them. Like some pieces I just left as they were. Wasn't a lot of fat on it, and when you render it out, then not a lot of the fat is going to come out in the cooking process anyway. So I trimmed them and I washed them and I cleaned them off with a little bit of vinegar and water. And now we're going to start seasoning our oxtails. Now we're going to start browning our oxtails in our pot. I had it heating up a little bit, so it should give us a nice little sizzle. You want to do this in small batches at a time because you really want the oxtails to get brown and release some of those oils. So don't add too much because if you add too much then your oxtails will steam, they won't brown. Just let them cook for like 1 to 2 minutes per side. Okay, once all your oxtails are brown, remove them from the pan and we're going to get ready to add our aromatics. You don't want to clean out your pot because all the nice brown stuff at the bottom is going to add some extra flavor to your oxtails. So add a little bit of vegetable oil to your pan, not a lot, just a little bit to saute off your vegetables. 1 onion, 1 scallion, and about 3 cloves of garlic. And cook that down. And cook this down until your onions become a little soft. The next ingredient I'm about to add is a little bit off the beaten path of traditional West Indian oxtails. It's tomato paste. This, my grandmother, my southern grandmother, used to add tomato paste to her oxtails, and I really love the richness that it gave the sauce. So I like to add a little bit to my oxtails. So you're gonna add that tomato paste and stir it in to your onions. Alright, then we're gonna add our oxtails that we browned up earlier directly to the pan. Just add them all back in there. With that nice juice and everything that they picked up along the way. At this time, you're gonna add 2 sprigs of thyme and maybe about a handful of cloves. And give this a good stir. Alright, your final step in making your oxtails is going to be to add your liquid to your pan. You could either add water, but what I like to use is beef broth. So you're gonna add your broth in just to cover your oxtails. So I used about 1.5 cans. Let's say 2 cans, sorry. 2 cans of beef broth. You're gonna give this a stir once again. And let this cook down for about 2 hours or until your oxtails are nice and tender. So cover them with the lid and come back in 2 hours. Okay, it's an hour into the cooking process, and as you can see, a good layer of fat has surfaced to the top. So I'm gonna start skimming some of this off now, and then I'll just continue doing it throughout the cooking process. Try to get up as much fat as you possibly can. Okay, I've skimmed off about, if you can see this, a full teacup of oil. And alright, it's been the 2 hours in the pot, and remember after an hour I skimmed off a lot of the oil. So as you can see, a lot of the liquid is like almost halfway out. So what I'm gonna do is for as much oil as I took out, I'm gonna replace with flavored water. I use the vegetable bouillon cubes, and about another teaspoon or 2 of the gravy mustard. And I'm just gonna add that right back into my pan. And then I'm gonna give this a good stir. Now because we seasoned our oxtail so generously before, I tried the flavor and it really doesn't need any more salt or anything. So our final step is going to be to add our butter beans. I'm using Finest brand butter beans, large butter beans, and I'm gonna use 2 cans. The first can I mashed up so that it can thicken up the gravy, and then the next can I'm just gonna add them straight in. You could omit this step if you want, but I kind of like the flavor of that the beans yields to your oxtails. So stir this around and let it cook for like an additional 10 minutes. Your gravy should get nice and thick, but not too thick. And here is my final product. My nice tender oxtail with butter beans, and I served mine on top of some steamed basmati rice. Thanks for watching, guys, and oh yeah, stay tuned, because I'm not gonna do my product review today. Our husband Sam is definitely gonna give his opinion on these oxtails, so stick around. Hope you enjoy the recipe. Bye. Here's Sam's taste of my beautiful oxtails. Babe, tell the people what you think.
Hold on. It's hot. Nice and tender.
And the flavor.
Nicely seasoned.
Syllables are better.
Better than seasoned.
Best believe it.
Not just saying that. Nicely seasoned. Not too much salt. And has a nice little kick to it.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Jess. Good job.
Girls! Oh my gosh!
This is why you can't go to the supermarket with Sam, because you stop by every sweets that you encounter.
$22 too. Come on.
And it goes in. And he walks away as if nobody knows what he just did.
Come on.
Tragic, I say.
Grab one of these.